This program is brought to you by the Merdeka Award, an initiative to promote excellence by ExxonMobil, Petronas, and Shell.
Hello, my name is Cynthia and welcome to the 11th Merdeka Award Roundtable. Our topic of discussion this time around is on enhancing collaboration between university and industry to spur innovation. Now, Malaysia has big ambitions to move up the value chain of a knowledge-based economy, and for that to happen, innovation has to lead the way for growth, and bringing together the industry and the academics is a key part to accelerating that process. And to join me in this discussion, I have a panel of experts. Please welcome, first and foremost, I have Dato Norhalim Yunus, the CEO of Malaysian Teknologi Development Corporation. Next to him, we have Biruntha Mooruthi. She is a patent specialist and also the Vice President of PlaTCOM Ventures. Next to me, I have Professor Dr. Ahmad Fauzi, Deputy Vice Chancellor for Research and Innovation at University Teknologi Malaysia. Thank you for joining us. And we have also Mr. Rozario, the CEO of National Innovation Agensi, AIM. Last but not least, we have Johan Mahmood Merican, who is the CEO of TalentCorp.
Thank you, Cynthia.
Thank you so much for making time for this discussion. Now, I'd like to start with understanding the overall innovation ecosystem in Malaysia. I think, Mark, you are the best person to kickstart that conversation. Now, what's your assessment of the current state of collaboration between the industry and the academics?
Well, there have been a lot of efforts in recent years to increase the level of collaboration between industry and academia. And we've seen a lot of large corporates, GLCs in particular, already have quite significant collaborations with universities. Some of the big ones, in fact, have their research facilities housed in university localities. And, but certainly there's always room to do more. And I think one of the areas that needs a lot more emphasis is to see how we can get more of our SMEs involved in the innovation landscape and working with universities. So in the last year or so, there's been a lot of effort on that. Quite a few initiatives have actually been started in that respect. I can mention a few. PlaTCOM is one which was a collaboration between AIM and SME Corp, which is a commercialization platform, which tries to link the research of IPs that are being generated in our universities with commercialization partners, as well as providing the help to take them through the various steps to commercialization. Then there's also the Public-Private Research Network, PPRN, which tries to have contract work done out by researchers from the universities. There's also Steinbeis, which is a German concept, but it provides a network of experts, not just in Malaysia, but also in over 50 countries, that provides this link to link experts to companies.
All right. So there seems to be quite a number of initiatives, especially from the government side, to initiate this kind of collaboration. But if, Dato, you can give us an overview, how do we fare in comparison to our peers in the region in terms of collaboration? Because I understand that commercialization rate of our ideas from university is still rather low at this point of time.
Well, we need to differentiate between commercialization and technology transfer. Because if you look at the engagement between universities and the industry, I think that there was a report, there was a number mentioned by the Ministry of Higher Education recently that the research universities, they have actually chalked up about 1.5 billion in terms of receipts for the engagement between universities and the industry. This is not commercialization. And again, these numbers, 1.5 billion for the past few years since we introduced the research universities, may have excluded quite a lot of other contracts which may have not passed through the official channel. So in terms of collaborating between the industry and the universities, I think we have done well. But in terms of commercializing IPs and products which have been developed by universities. We may not have done as well as some other countries. But again, we need to look at what are the specific industries we're talking about. The established industries in Malaysia, for example, the plantation industries, oil palm industry, they may have better collaborations historically and now in terms of working with the universities. But the newer industries, or some of the industries that we are relatively new, they may have, they may not have the track record. So I would say that we will have to differentiate between commercialization of IP and between technology transfer. That is know-how and knowledge and technical expertise which are being provided by universities, especially like Professor Fauzi in his field of membrane technology. He has commercialized his technology in the form of product, but I'm sure he has done more in terms of actually transferring the know-how and the knowledge to the industry via collaboration with the industries.
Well, the idea of innovation at the end of the day is to have to bring your ideas and services into the market.
Right.
One of these big main reasons here. But what are some of the limitations that are hampering these efforts, particularly from the university side, Dato?
If you look at the triple helix, or if you like the quadruple helix, everybody has a role, okay? Sometimes when we discuss about these issues of collaborating between academia and the industry, we always ask the academia. What have you done? What have you done? What have you done? For things to work, I would say that everybody has to play a role, both the academia and the industry. But okay, for the question of what the university have to do, when we started MTDC in 1993, this idea of commercialization was very new, and most professors will tell you, why do I need to commercialize, right? Mm-hmm. So there is a thing that the university have to adapt with this new reality. One university which I can mention because I work very closely with them, UKM, they started the ball rolling because the unit in charge of advisory at that particular university, they have a business mindset. We don't wait for the government link company to award us project. Mm-hmm. We're going to chase them. Okay. And this issue of chasing for business is sometimes can be foreign to academicians.
Okay. Now let's get to the university perspective then. Prof. Fauzi, I know you have done a lot in terms of research and also successfully commercializing your product. What are some of the limitations that you face from the university side to get your products out there?
There are a few aspects. Number one is the culture. Mm-hmm. As mentioned by Dato Halim just now. Traditionally, your old mindset of academia is like that. Teaching, supervising, and to a certain extent, publication. But not that intensive for those days. But in the new academia realm at the moment, university lecturer, professor cannot be, think along that line anymore, because we are moving toward knowledge economy. Knowledge economy meaning that we can generate something that beneficial to the community, to the industry, and eventually the economy of certain countries. So in order to transform the knowledge and they become economy, this gap or bridge need to overcome the culture, the mindset. Number one is mindset. Number two, the knowledge from both parties, from universities like me, professors. Traditionally, we do not know how to approach the industry.
Like what he said, the business acumen.
Business, yeah. But on the other hand, the industry also, they will say, I do not know what university are doing or done so far. So these are knowledge. So what we need is engagement. Both parties sit down. And then the third one is product readiness. Traditionally, university research are very fundamentals. Mm-hmm. But now in the new economy era, we need applied. Not enough. Demonstration. Not enough until you can generate income from your products. Then the whole cycle of R&D and C completed. Now, the problem now is who is going to ensure that the cycle of R&D and C completed? Is it entirely depending on the university or with the assistance from certain agency, government, or the industry that have vision and mission, to assist the university as well as certain country. And one more thing, whether I might be wrong, but this is my belief. Certain strategic research and development, especially conducted by international or multinational company, very rarely done it or have doing it in Malaysia. And this also need to be changed, the mindset, if they want to have a business in a country like Malaysia.
All right. Thanks, Prof. Fauzi. I have to take this discussion to our first commercial break, but when we come back, we also like to hear a bit more from the industry perspective. What do they want from the university? What kind of collaboration and how can we meet the needs of both sides of the divide? And that's coming up shortly after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back to the 11th Merdeka Award Roundtable. Our topic of discussion is on enhancing collaboration between university and the industry. Now, earlier, Prof. Fauzi, you mentioned that corporations tend to look abroad in terms of innovation, research and development. Now, for this aspect, I'd like to get to Johan, who works closely with employers, industries. Is our talent not good enough? I mean, why are people looking abroad?
No, but maybe just to pick up on some of the issues that have been discussed, when you talk about industry, academia, collaboration, it takes two to tango. It's almost like a marriage. You need both parties speaking a common language and understanding what each other wants and finding a ground to compromise. Now, Talent Corporation is quite focused in working with industry and also academia, particularly in the space of employability. In fact, we had collaborated with World Bank on a survey which we conducted and released in 2014. Now, one of the findings, and shall we say, let's start off on a glass half empty first. I mean, what it found was that there really wasn't enough of a conversation between industry and academia. And sometimes, picking up from what Dr. Halim mentioned, sometimes it's a case of there's a lot of ask but not translated to commitment. So for example, employers surveyed had suggested that 80% of them wanted universities to change their curricula, and yet less than 10% actually were involved in that process. So it's one about asking but then not following up. And I think what we've seen as changing, and I think we've seen a lot of efforts being done, I think as Mark has mentioned, there's been a lot of effort being spearheaded by the government to promote greater industry academia collaboration. The higher education blueprint, I think, has highlighted a key focus on industry academia collaboration. There are lots of efforts. For example, there are efforts that's called like ICOEs. I think UTM has some. I know, for example, for RF, you have Keysight working with UMP. These are some of the initiatives where there are industry centers of excellence being established in different universities, focusing on core areas in order to then drive such collaborations.
So going back to what some of the things that Mark, you have mentioned earlier, we have that kind of collaboration, we have those policy framework in place, but why is it that still, like according to like Prof. Fauzi, there are still a lot of room for improvement in terms of collaboration? For example, from the industry side, what kind of need, what can they take, what kind of things that we can do to incentivize them to collaborate further with the universities?
Well, there are a few things. One of them is in terms of tax incentives that are already available. There is recently there was new incentives for angel investors, where they would get a tax deduction for the losses incurred if they make an investment that doesn't turn out well. When you talk about angel investing, it's high risk. If you look at the funding landscape, where we have private equity, which looks typically at established companies, then you've got the VC space, which takes some risk, looking at more at startups, and then angel investors and seed investors looking much earlier on, and those are very high risk, so there needs to be more incentives for them to come in. So that came into play just about 1-2 years ago, and we need to see more of these sorts of investors coming in. Now, if you look at that landscape and you compare with countries like, well, take Silicon Valley, for example. Why is there such a thriving angel investor network? It's because a lot of these investors are actually successful startups. You know, these are individuals who have made it big. And you know, the more you see of that, then the more you're going to see coming out of our landscape as well. In Malaysia, a lot of the successful entrepreneurs typically come from property development.
Okay.
So we need to see more coming from a technology background, and that's when you're going to see.
Yeah.
You know, bottom line is we need to see more success stories
Interesting you
coming
mentioned
up.
Silicon Valley, because a lot of these disruptive companies, their research, their fundamentals are based on the university. They are from Stanford, for example. So they have this innovation ecosystem, and is that a fair statement to say that we are still lacking? Maybe I can get to Ybhg to talk about that.
Well, I'm of the opinion there's a gap between the industry and academia. I would just like to add on to what Prof mentioned and also Johan. There is another component that we are missing here in the whole ecosystem from the academia side, which is the Technology Transfer Office, because I believe that they are the connecting point for the university to the industry. So the lack of skills in our TTOs presently, from my experience dealing with universities and industries, I understand that our local TTOs or Technology Transfer Office is not well equipped, or they don't have the right skill set. And even if they train them in the technology transfer domain, there is a high turnover because these resources has to be shared. And so, you know, within a year or two, these officers that has been trained